Hello everyone, my name is Juan Pablo Tinjaca Huertas. I'm 24 years old. I'm currently studying the ninth semester of degree in foreign language with emphasis in English, and today I'm going to talk about my research project related to the subject research pedagogical practice. Okay, so now let's start. Okay, the first thing that I want to talk about is about the characteristics of the participants and the structure of the school. The name of the school is Nuevo Paraíso. And the participants are, well, the English teacher that is the teacher Carolina Maduro, that it's who helped me a lot to develop the research project for all the institution grades. That means that in that school there is only one English teacher, and the students were between 3 and 10 years old. And the structure of the institution consists of 2 floors and 7 classrooms, including the principal's office. That means that we have 6 classrooms for all the institution grades from preschool to primary. Okay, so now let's proceed with the title of my research project and the objectives. We have the title that is the importance of the native language and technology in foreign language teaching process. Related to the title, we have the objectives. Basically, the main objective is to identify the impact or the influence of the native language and technological tools for beginners or for students who are just beginning their educational process in foreign language teaching. So basically, through the observation and identification, I will be able well, I will be able to achieve the main goal, that is to identify the impact of the native language and technological tools for beginners, taking into account that we are trying to teach a second language for students between 3 and 10 years old. Okay, related to that main objective, we have the specific objectives. The first one is to identify the needs of students with the foreign language learning process, and based on that information design the appropriate materials and methodologies to help the students with their needs and achieve the main goal or the main objective of this research project. And the second specific objective is related to the designment or the integration of the appropriate tools, taking into account the level of the students. Well, this is one part of my immersion process, because as a teacher I need to identify the level of the students, and based on that, I will be able to design the appropriate materials and methodologies, and appropriate choose the resources, the audiovisual resources that I'm going to use, taking into account their level. If it's necessary to use a lot the native language or something more easier than the materials that they are used to with the teacher from the institution. So that's such an important information that we need to take into account to integrate or design the appropriate tools for students. Okay, so now let's continue with the literature review. That is one of the most important parts within my research project, because based on those resources that you are able to see on your screen, I was able to develop my research project, because I get the necessary knowledge to proceed with my research project through those resources. So let's start with the resource of Mr. Yadav. Mr. Yadav talks about how to use the native language within a foreign language learning process. This is an important resource within my research project, taking into account that I'm going to study what is the impact of the native language within the foreign language learning process for beginners. Taking into account this, and taking into account that we are trying to teach a different language to students between 3 and 10 years old, I need to take into account the native language to explain every topic, to better adapt the students, to motivate to keep learning more about a second language, about the English language. So this resource helped me to have the basis to be able to appropriate design the materials using the native language, and be able to choose the appropriate audiovisual resources, that means the videos, where the author used the native language as a basis to explain the topic related to the target language. Okay, the second one is from Mr. Balanska, Bowles, Frank, Richardson, and Franks, and it's about the importance of the technology. Taking into account that the kids and teenagers are getting used to use their cell phones, use different technological tools to, well, to use the social media or to make different activities. This is such an important tool that the teachers are able to use to motivate the students to keep learning about about the field, or well, about the field of study, or about, or in this case, about the English language. So this is like a resource that we can use to motivate the students, yes, to better adapt the students, to provide meaningful information to the students related to the English language. So basically, the resource helped me to realize the importance of the technology within the foreign language learning process. And the last resource is from Mr. Cruz and Mr. Velasco, that is the importance of the appropriate designment of the materials, or the appropriate selection of the materials. This is such an important resource because it's related to one of the objectives of my research project. Because taking into account the information about the student needs, about the problems, about the difficulties, about the situation, uh, we can take that into account to proceed with the appropriate designment of the materials and methodologies that we will be able to apply within the foreign language learning process of the students, and help them to better adapt, to motivate, and to help them to get interested in every topic of related to the English language. So this is such an important resource that I use to proceed with the development of the research project. Okay, so now to continue, we have here the activities. We have here some evidence of the activity, but now I will proceed to explain the methodology of every lesson within my research project. First of all, I started with the audiovisual resource, that means with the video. I carefully choose the video, taking into account the native language, the level of the student, and everything that I observe in the classroom during the English class. And in this case, I choose a video with the topic that I wanted to teach to the students, that is simple present, and we are able to send in one of the pictures that the author of the video used the native language as the basis to explain the most important information about the topic, that in this case is the structure of the word in the target language, but explaining that structure using the native language to help the students to better understand everything about the topic. Yes, and obviously using the target language, the author of the video shows the structure of the simple present, taking into account or the explanation using using the native language. And in this part, in the last picture, we can see the activity that we developed, taking into account the explanation of the or visual resource, the activity that we developed in WordWall. But before of that, but well, before of that activity, I opened a feedback space where all the students were able to ask everything about the audiovisual resource, everything that was explained in the video, and everything that I explained before that space with my own words related to the simple present. So basically, the process is like this: it's the audiovisual resource, my explanation with my own words, the feedback space, the activity, and another feedback space after evaluate everything related to the topic. Okay, so basically that's the process. We have here another example with another video, where we are able to observe that the author of this video used the native language to use the native language to explain the topic and to show the student the structure of that the structure related to the topic. In this case, the moral verb can and can't, and we are able to see that there are an explanation in Spanish, that is the native language of the students, and after that the author of the video shows the structure explained with the native language using the target language. Okay, and after that we made an activity in Kahoot. It was so funny because every student just participated of this activity. It was so funny. Everyone participate. I made the feedback. It was so funny, and I was able to observe a big difference in the grades, in the participation, in the motivation, in every aspect within the foreign language learning process. And the last part, it's about the findings and conclusion. Well, basically, the conclusion is that my project focuses on the influence of the native language and technological tools in students, in this case, in beginners, in students who are just starting to learn the first topics related to the target language. So I think this is such an important project for the students and for me because I am trying to learn everything about how to be a good teacher and every aspect that I need to take into account to appropriate design every material, every resource, every methodology, every lesson, every class. So every environment. So I think this is such an important project, and this project helped me a lot to understand many things about the importance of the native language and technological tools within the foreign language learning process. And the findings, well, basically, I was able to observe that I make a comparison between the grades before the research project and the grades that we have during the research project. And I was able to observe that we have better results from the students during the activities in Kahoot and Wordle. So I think that this was so important for them to keep learning more about the English language and to have meaningful learnings related to this field of study. And obviously, it helped me a lot to learn more how to be a good English teacher and how to appropriate use the tools of the native language and technology and the technology. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will be attentive to your commentaries and have a wonderful day.